Hi, this is author and minister Cynthia Middlebrooks Harris of Toast Ministries, and I said as long as you guys were posing the questions that I would try my best to answer them in a professional manner. And I had a few people to message me a few questions, and a couple of them was serious, and one of them was kind of like, I could tell that it wasn't as serious. But I want to address the first one tonight, and I'll address the other two later on this week, because this one is a serious question, and I could tell when she was typing it. And sometimes you could just tell that somebody's crying, when they're typing, because this is a serious question. Her husband had an affair, and so she has decided that they have decided to work through it, which praise the Lord, I'm glad about that. They decided to work through it and not divorce. So her question to me was, she said that he is like downplaying it though, and she's not liking the fact that he's like downplaying it to like it wasn't a big deal, and oh, it just happened. It wasn't something that I was just thinking about and put any time or any effort into it. It just happened. It wasn't like I'm trying to marry her or leave you. It's something that just happened. You don't have to worry about any of that. There's nothing really to it. It was just sex. And she said, so what do you think? I think that it's more to it than just happen. She says, I don't think affairs just happen. And I don't think affairs just happen either. I don't think that you just decide one day to wake up and say, I'm going to have sex with somebody that's not my wife. And we've been doing a Bible study at church on giants, and I was studying to teach the lesson. I ran across something in Genesis that kind of got my interest, but I put it to the side because it didn't have anything to do with the lesson. Well, lo and behold, it works exactly for what she's talking about, because it got me to thinking about how things manifest in our life and how they mature to the level to where we begin to sin because of them. And it says in Genesis chapter 9, verse 20, I want to say somewhere around 20, it says, and this is after they've gotten off the ark, and now it says, and Noah became a husbandman, which means he became a farmer, and he planted a vineyard. And then later on, of course, we know Noah got drunk, and then Ham came in and saw his nakedness, and we're not going to get into that because it's another lesson. That was part of the lesson the part that we taught on. But I thought about that thing. It says Noah planted a vineyard. Noah became a husband and planted a vineyard. So the reason why I say to her that no, this is not a spur of the moment thing. Affairs are intentional. It's a purpose. It's not an accident, because when Noah planted the vineyard, his intention was to get drunk. He didn't plant the vineyard to just watch grapes grow. He planted the vineyard with the intention of one day being able to drink the wine and get drunk. That was the intention. So when you start spending time with this person that's not your spouse, and you start spending intimate time with them, and whether it be counseling or communicating or whatever, and your spouse is not involved, you start planting seeds that are eventually going to grow. So, you have to water that vineyard. You have to nurture that vineyard, because you don't grow it one week and get fruit the next week. When you plant a vineyard, it takes a couple of years before you're actually going to get grapes out of that enough to drink wine. You kind of follow me with the way the affair thing goes here? So if a man is saying, no, it just happened, I don't necessarily agree with that, because you have got to put some time into the relationship with this woman before some things might be a one night fling, but she said they've had sex several times, and he admitted that he talked to her all the time. Well, that's a relationship. He developed that. It developed into an affair. He planted that seed with the intention of having sex with this girl. So I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm glad that you're working it out with your spouse. I'm glad that you guys are, seek some counsel from your pastors, from your clergy, or if you're not Christians or you're not going to church, then, seek some counsel from someone who can really sit down and help you guys get to the root of why the affair happened in the first place. Because the thing you want to make sure you do is get to the root of what your intimate issues are. And usually it's a non-intimate issue that leads to an affair anyway. So get to the root of the problem of what's going on in your marriage so you can deal with it, and don't just ignore it. Don't try to go on business as usual, because that doesn't work. You have to deal with it. You have to find out what happened. You have to work through it. But sweetie, I don't really agree with the fact of saying, oh, it just happened. Oh, it's no big deal. Because when you plant a seed, your intention is to reap the harvest of what it is you're planting. So if he started to spend time with her, knowing he has a spouse, somewhere along the way in the back of his mind, he's thinking, yeah. And you hear people say things like the struggle is real. Well, the struggle is real because you're nurturing something that you got no business nurturing. Stop nurturing another woman, and you don't have to worry about struggling with having her in bed. So not trying to be too graphic or too harsh on the men or the women, because women have affairs too, and this could go both ways. I don't really necessarily believe that something just happens. I know on the side of a woman, Usually we're not spur of the moment people, and you got to nurture us to get us into bed, so that's why I would say he had to put some amount of time into it. So it was one of those jump off into it things. There was some time spent into it and some nurturing involved in it. So hopefully this answered your question. Hopefully that no one is offended by this post, please. I know people are going to inbox me if they are anyway. So I just want to say, to you guys, thank you for trusting me with your questions or your issues, and I will be here to help as much as I can. I don't know it. I don't know it all. I'm not a theologian, but as long as God has given me the ability to be able to minister to people, then that's what I'm going to do, because that's my job. I've been called to preach, called to minister, called to mentor, and that's what I love to do. So God bless you guys, and I hope this helped you.